The most devastating disaster had to be the major Japan earthquake and tsunami that followed. The National Police Agency there confirmed nearly 16,000 deaths, 6,000 injured, and more than 3,000 people missing. Well over 125,000 buildings damaged or destroyed.
I felt that it was a very large earthquake. I think we all did. That was immediately apparent. And we were in the midst of a committee session, but we asked the committee chairman, Tsuruho, to let.
The ground shook in Turkey earlier this year. A 7.1 magnitude quake struck the eastern part of the country. More than 600 people were killed and nearly 4,200 injured. Some 11,000 buildings were destroyed or sustained major damage, leaving many people homeless.
I was in shock with what I saw. Buildings were toppled, all scattered around. There were rescue operations everywhere. Everyone was in a rush but exhausted, trying to find many who were stuck under the rubble.
Aid streamed into Turkey to help with relief. Ebru TV held a telethon to assist in sending funds directly back to Turkey. An earthquake also hit Christchurch, New Zealand. Power and water services were knocked out to a wide area for more than a week. Damage claims topped $1.5 billion. The United States smashed the record for weather disasters in 2011. From wildfires to tornadoes to major flooding, upwards of 12 disasters caused $52 billion in damage and killed more than 1,000 people. Some of the worst aftermath came from the flooding.
Water in the yard was almost up to the house, which is another 10 feet above this level, which is probably 15 to 20 feet above the normal river level.
Major floods also ravaged Thailand during this year's monsoon season. 12.8 million people have been affected and damages will top $45 million. Even now, some areas remain 6 feet underwater.
If it's less than 1 meter, we think we can protect our house and our property. But if over 1 meter, we just live with the water.
Flooding in Queensland, Australia in the beginning of 2011 impacted 70 different towns and left more than 200,000 people affected. The aftermath of the floods really hampered Australia's GDP to the tune of $30 billion. A similar scene swept through Colombia multiple times this year, causing extensive flooding and triggering landslides, killing in total about 200 people. More than 100,000 have been left homeless. An oil spill from a stranded cargo ship caused the worst environmental disaster in decades for New Zealand. Officials there say 350 tons of oil leaked from the ship, which ran aground on a reef. Along the Volga River in Russia, an overcrowded cruise ship sank, killing 182 people on board, many of whom were children. And in Somalia, international organizations fear the current food crisis is worse than in the 90s when 300,000 people died of starvation. The UN declared famine in parts of Somalia this year, in part because of deadly malnutrition being suffered by so many children.